Hi everybody, it's Ryan from Ryviews.com. Today I'm doing my first tips and tricks video for Creeper World 3. This will be focused on buildings. So what I've done here is I've gone to one of those tormented space maps. They're basically random maps. And I'm just going to kind of go through my thought process as I start the game, start the level. And I'm going to place buildings and describe them as I go. So depending, I might kind of go out of order just to survive, but for the most part I'm going to try to go through all the buildings. This map should have most things. It does not have any aerial enemies, but I'll go into that later. So first thing is this command unit. Okay, it's Odin City. Basically it's a deployable city where you can place it anywhere and it generates a certain amount of energy. So right now I'm going to put it in the corner. And once you place it, the game starts pause. So once you place it, it'll have a footprint there and you can't build over it. And once you start the game, we'll immediately land down there. Next thing I want to talk about is the collector. Going back really fast. When you lose your city, you do not die, unlike in the previous games. In the previous games, when you lost the city, you immediately lost the game. In this, because it's deployable, if it gets destroyed, you're fine. But even so, I usually recommend restarting the level if that city is destroyed, because usually if your city is destroyed, you're in a pretty bad position. You probably want to restart and rethink your strategy. Don't know that for sure, but usually that's a good rule of thumb. So this is the collector. This is their chief mode of getting energy. So when I build things, I build them on a grid, which I'll describe in a later tips and tricks, because I don't want to go into that now. But this is basically how you get energy. You can see this little white shadow around it. That's how it tells you what area it's grabbing. Okay, it's based on area. And it has to be on your elevation. See, this red stuff I'm not getting credit for. However, once again, because of my grid thing, I am going to place it there. I'm going to unpause the game and start it off. So you have energy that recovers. You can see it on the top. Okay, you generate energy. That's your currency. Okay, so there's no penalty for building things other than spending energy at the time. So it's all about speed of building. Okay, so that's kind of the basic mantra. You want to be able to have enough energy so that you're able to build pretty much anything you want at any time. That's the general goal. And so these collectors, you want to get a lot of surface area. So next is the relay. I'm going to pause it again here. The relay is important because you're able to reach really far distances. Okay, if I place this guy here, he can reach much farther than the collectors. Okay, by himself anyway. The issue you have with relays is that they don't collect energy. So early on, relays are not very useful. They're useful later on in the game, or if you're trying to reach somewhere fast. So you can see here the cost is 5 energy to build a collector, 10 for the relay. So it is faster to build a set of relays to get somewhere, like if you're trying to get to one of these little upgrade stations, okay? But in general, I don't recommend using relays very much at all early on. Towards the end, or even towards the middle, when you're trying to get packets to buildings faster, which once again I'll kind of describe later, it's good because I think the speed is set by the number of nodes it passes through. So because you can pass through fewer nodes with relays, the packets will always travel through those and it'll be faster. So it is useful once you set up a base, but I'll show you that later. And I'm actually not even going to build that guy right now. It's a waste of my time. This reactor is another energy collector. The big catch is that it takes so much longer to build. You want to still cover as much area in collectors as possible, but the reactor is long-term best solution for collecting energy. You're going to reach a point where you don't want to expand anymore and you want to turtle a bit. Turtling is essentially impossible without the reactor. It is possible, but it is very difficult. So I never recommend turtling for very long without a reactor. Shields are great, but they waste lots of energy. I'll show you that in a second once I'm actually needing to build one. So we'll go back to that. I would put that more as a weapon, but it's a defensive thing. The ore mine you place on these little ore spots, and you are able to mine ore and create your own anti-creeper that way. I'm not going to do that yet, once again. Siphon is used to pick up these little kind of quick energy packets, which are dropped for you. I'd have to go to a campaign mission to show you that, so I might do that in the future tips and tricks. Basically, you place it on this little hexagon, and it will get lots of energy as you need it. It's like an excess store of energy that you can summon whenever you start running low on your energy stores up here. Terp is next, which I talked about in my Ryview. The Terp lets you alter the terrain elevation, which is great for building fortresses and defenses. So I'm going to build one for start, and then I'll build several more later on. but usually you don't want to overextend yourself. It's really expensive to have the terp working, so usually you don't want to overload your systems. Finally is Guppy. Guppy lets you transport packets to far reaches of the map. So I'll go ahead and build one now, but I'm not going to use him yet. I'll show you what the Guppy does later. So that covers most of the defensive and then kind of normal buildings, not going into weapons. I don't want to overload this video too much, so I'm going to stop there. I'll do another video on weapons. I don't want to complicate the issue. I will come back to some of these, and I'll really fast here. I'll show you how the terp works. You can select the terrain height and the brush size, so the size in pixels. You can go from 1 and all the odd numbers above 1. So you do it in a 3x3 block. It always is in a square block, 5x5, 7x7, 9x9. Okay. So usually, if you're building a wall, you want to do 10. Okay, unless if you're pressed for time, you sometimes want to start lower. But for usually I go for 10. And I have a system where I will build them next to this. It's not actually the most effective because you lose some energy collection. But oh, that's already 10. Huh. Okay, so in most cases, if you're sitting in a valley or something like over here, I would build a wall around myself. If you look on the right side of the screen, where I'm drawing this little wall, build a wall around my stuff, and that's what I would do to defend myself. As it stands right now, oh god, if you left click and hold it down, by the way, you erase your terp items. What I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to create a little moat around myself, which I'm going to start out at 5. Like I said, it's best to usually go for a moat of 1, but because I don't want to waste unnecessary amounts of energy, I'm going to start a moat with a few little potholes. And I'm just lining up with the collectors, so I have nice, even spots. And that's going to be my main mode of defense for right now. I'm going to have them pool into there. So check out my next tips and tricks video to learn about the weapons, and then the shield and the ore mine. And I'll show you how the Guppy works later too. Because right now I could send him somewhere, but you don't really get a good idea of what the hell he's doing until there's another building over there. So I will highlight that later. Thanks for watching, everybody. Visit www.ryviews.com for more content, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.